You're listening to The Hardpoint with Onexpunchxdad and Code Rome's.
Welcome back to The Hardpoint, episode number 27, baby. My name is Josh. I go by Onexpunchxdad online.
My name's Cody. I go by Code Rome.
Yes, you do.
Certainly do.
Handsome son of a gun, you old so-and-so. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. We're back to our usual format tonight.
Yep.
Feels good.
Yep.
Looking crisp. Looking handsome. Sounding crisp.
Yep.
Hopefully. Barring any kind of catastrophe anyway.
No more of those. No more of those.
Yep. No, we're going to speak happy thoughts tonight.
Yeah.
Staying in good spirits. Good to be back here, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. I'm really happy to be here. I got my, told you right before we started recording, I should have just saved it, but got my Deep Eddy's Lemon, which if you listened to a few episodes back, I was crushing and 10 out of 10 recommended. And it's Saturday. Everything. The Mavericks won today. We're balls deep in NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. It's
Mavs
good.
doing well.
Yeah.
Rangers doing well this season. It might be a year for Texas sports.
Man.
I feel like I say that, and by the end of the year, I'm crying.
You know what? I'm not like the biggest NBA or NHL fan. I don't hardly watch any regular season stuff. But when the local teams win the playoffs, I really like this time of year. And even if they're not, I was just telling a buddy this week, this is one of the few times of the year that you can turn on the Tuesday on a Tuesday night, and there's something prime time going on. There's an NBA playoff game. There's an NHL playoff game. It doesn't matter the day of the week. There's always something important going on. And so
I always remember that about the end of the school year because I had a buddy down the street who was a big sports fan. And bless their heart, they lived in a single wide trailer. But they had a gigantic TV, and we would always watch
Hell yeah.
NBA finals. We watched a little hockey, I think, but it was mostly like baseball, football, and basketball at his house. But basketball was a big deal.
It's fun, man. It's just cool. Any night of the week, flip it on. There's something good going on. And the Mavericks, when you get lucky, you'll get like a Friday night, or today they played 2:30 on a Saturday. That's fun. And then the Stars play at 9:30 tonight, which is an incredibly late start, but because it's on a Saturday, I'm gonna stay up and watch it.
My man, my man. Do you get into basketball? I know that's not one that like you played for sure in high school.
I didn't play in high school. I played in middle school. I quickly discovered I was not the appropriate height.
Do you have any hoops?
No. Well, what do you mean?
No,
like
me neither.
Like game? Like can I play?
Yeah.
I haven't played in a long time, man. I like shooting. I feel like I got some decent shooting form, but as far as like the dribbles, no. I would dribble it off the foot.
Occasionally at my gym, like if me and my wife go together and she's still going and I've already kind of wrapped it up, I will go to the basketball gym and I'll do a couple laps. Like I found like if you do fundamental stuff in basketball, it's actually pretty good cardio. So I'll take a ball and just kind of run like a half-court circuit, dribbling, and just seeing like, you know, what I can do with that. Yeah. Oftentimes I bounce it off my foot and I'm like chasing it.
Sure. You know, up your coordination, left hand, right hand.
Exactly. There's usually too many like young people around for me to attempt a layup. My thing is too much power, man.
Yeah.
I come in for a layup and it just hits the backboard and is like, boom.
Man, I remember that being the hardest thing. Like even back to middle school playing is you're going full speed down court and having the touch just to softly bounce it off the backboard. I remember one time I had like a breakaway layup, in a game in middle school. And you know, too much heat, bro. It hit the backboard and just bounced. Like it didn't go in. Layup harder than it looks.
It is. I think I would rather just try to hit it from downtown than try to lay up. And I don't have it.
What's that, Chris?
I don't have that control.
What's that Chris Farley movie where he's like, "Let it rain," and he chunks it at the backboard. Let it rain. You know what I'm talking about? And
I have no idea.
The only reason I know that there's this drop on this radio station I listen to, and it's Chris Farley, and he yells, "Let it rain," and then the loudest thud ever of the ball just hitting the backboard. Let it rain. It's funny. I'll have to find it. If you know what I'm talking about, put it in the comments.
I gotta catch up on my Farley movies, I guess.
I guess so.
Oh man.
How's
what?
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say what a week.
Okay. I was gonna ask about your week. You had a few big events going on. One that I wish I could have been there for. It wasn't appropriately scheduled. It was on a school night, but
it was a weird one. So we did have this week was the big like birthday week. My older two kids, their birthdays fall within a day of each other. So big birthday week. Had some people over to our house that is very clearly not moved all the way into yet.
Did that require you shoving a bunch of things into a room that those people would not be in?
No.
Okay.
No, we kind of just what was out was out.
Sure.
We didn't have a ton of people over. It was mainly just like the parents and kids of like that are friends with my kids.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a huge get together or anything, but it was enough that I was kind of like, there's people in my house, and it's not. I did tell my wife after the fact. I was like, I love you. We got to shut this place down for a couple weeks until we can get it.
Yeah.
It's not even really like there's parts of it that aren't like livable yet. Like I haven't even put my kids' bunk beds back together. They're sleeping on mattresses in their rooms. Like there is so much to do, tons of stuff to do, and there's kind of this cascading effect of to get this room set, I have to remove things from it and put them here, which displaces a bunch of stuff there. So I have to move that stuff here. So it is kind of like a what do you call it? Yeah, like a cascading effect, right?
It takes some coordination and some thought. You know, it's not just putting things together, but getting things in the right spot, taking things out to clear an area. Yeah, I get it.
Absolutely. It did today kind of supercharged me because I really I felt very confident that like we have a lot of stuff that we can just throw away. Some of the stuff we have, like it's probably we could try to sell it to kind of alleviate some space, maybe make some money back. But for the most part, looking at our pile of junk that just needs to go, it needs to go to a dump. And that makes it a lot easier. If you have a lot of stuff and it's like things that you should probably sell, that's very stressful.
Yeah.
But looking at what we got, I think I could easily just get a truck one day, load it up, and
sayonara.
Send it.
Yeah.
Send it to the dump. So that was a good feeling. And then Thursday, probably the thing you're alluding to, I had my very first stand-up set.
Yeah.
Which was holy cow, man! What an event!
I cannot wait to hear about this.
So good friend of the show, Mandatory Fun Day, and some other guys came up, came from out of town. They had a few local comedians there. Shout out Ryan, the guy who set it up. Did a really good job. He's a local comedian here in Lawton, Oklahoma.
Nice.
Very funny guy. Did a lot of really good coordination. Ethan, habitual line crosser, came out. He didn't do a set, but he did hang out with us. We did a little Q&A actually at the beginning, which was kind of cool. Had all the military content creators were there and just kind of fielding some questions and making some jokes. So I did kind of a panel. That was also very fun. But yeah, man, I did a solid 15 minutes.
Wow. I can't believe that, man. That is such a long time.
It honestly, so I had written out a set and kind of rehearsed it and kind of knew what the flow was going to be for that. I tried to go into it humble because I knew people were coming that kind of knew who I was, but I didn't want to lean too much on that and just be like, y'all know who I am.
Right.
I'm funny and you will laugh.
Sure.
I do feel like they laughed. I got some good reactions from their jokes, but I feel like I had to fight for them like anyone else would.
Okay.
So it wasn't just
you weren't getting the over laughter, just
no.
Yeah, okay.
No, not at all. They definitely made me work for it, and it's not so much like I said, they were laughing, but they weren't just like in stitches the entire time.
You had to earn it.
I will say about 2 minutes into it, I realized I feel like I'm flying through this. I was worried I was going to go overtime, and it wasn't long before I realized I am zipping through this set right now.
Slow down a little bit.
So I had to kind of I think I need to work if I'm going to do it again. I need to work a little bit more on just kind of like transition pieces and maybe supplementary jokes that kind of help prop up the big joke. You know, I mean, stand-up comedy is absolutely like it's an art. You know what I mean? Like not everyone can do it, and it's one of those things I think you probably get better at with time. I will say they had other comedians there that have been doing stand-up for a long time, specifically the guy that ended the show, a guy named Matt. I'm a dick for not knowing his last name, but he is a local Oklahoma comedian who's done some tours and stuff. That dude did about 30 minutes like it was nothing, and he absolutely did have the audience in stitches the entire time. It was just this dude, you could tell, understood how to do it. He understood the flow. He had great energy. And I told him after the show, I was like, you have chops, man. Absolutely. Like you made me feel silly, and he complimented my set, you know, and he really hyped me up, and I appreciated that. But it was definitely no contest. Like this dude was a seasoned veteran as far as doing stand up is concerned. So shout out Matt. Very, very funny. Very funny.
Cool.
But yeah, all in all, it was a cool experience, man.
Okay. What was your level of nerves? Was it more than you thought it was going to be? Was it less? Was it about what you thought it was going to be? Like right before you're going on stage and the hour or two leading up to it.
It was pretty high. I think I was definitely not panicky or anything, but just eager to get out there and just get going. Yeah, you know, I think once they called my name out and kind of announced me, and I got kind of like a hyped up reaction from people that had come to see, you know, me and Mandatory Fun Day and kind of knew who we were, I felt like, hey, this is going to be fine.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that felt good. But yeah, leading up to it, I was definitely, you know, the nerves were pretty significant. You know, I was just trying to. It's hard when you get right before you're going up, because you go through this moment. You're here, you know, the other comedians are going on. You're hearing other jokes. You're hearing other deliveries. You're starting to wonder, like, is my set okay? Like, is it going to be all right? Like, maybe like I have a joke that kind of hits like that and it didn't get a laugh, or, or maybe I made a joke that's too similar. I did make jokes about Lawton, Oklahoma, the city where we're at, you know, right outside of Fort Sill, which a lot of the comedians did. And so I think in hindsight, by the time I went up, it was like, okay, we get it. This town is easy to make fun of. Like, that was probably my only like glaring like regret about my set itself. So I think I would probably try to keep it a little more general than that. It was pretty focused, but yeah, man, you know, I got out there. I will say the worst part was actually the come down. It was coming off stage and just kind of like the emotional or physical recoil of like, it's over. You know, you play through, you know, it's like, oh man, I had this really good punchline and I forgot to even hit it. Or this joke, look, in hindsight, probably was a clunker to begin with. I shouldn't have tried it.
Sort of over analyzing everything.
Yeah, like literally minutes before I went out, I was like, ooh, I just thought of a good thing to tag on to this thing that I haven't rehearsed or whatever.
Right.
So you get up there and it just doesn't, it's not a part of the natural like rehearsed schedule.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think all in all, it was a good experience. I think initially my thought was like, I don't want to do this again. I didn't feel, it did not mirror the feeling of being on stage like in a band and playing a set and having people respond in that kind of like physical way, you know. It was definitely different. It's a lot harder because the attention is solely on you.
Yeah.
There's no cast mates. There's no band mates.
Completely silent. I mean, there's just nothing else to look at except you up there in silence.
And there were a few times I would say something that was, I think, meant to be funny, and people kind of like, you know. But luckily, the things that I was fairly certain we're gonna get a good chuckle got their chuckle, and that felt good. So I didn't bomb. And I've tried since not to just evaluate it too hard and think about like anyone who thought I was going to be funny. You always hear people like after they watch a comedian and say, I thought he'd be funnier than that. That was my fear.
Yeah.
It was like people are going to be like, I just thought he would be funnier than
Yeah.
that. So, and maybe they did, and maybe I wasn't funny enough, but I did take a lot of pictures with people after the fact and get to meet some people who've wanted to meet. I got some patches from some people, which was really cool. So all in all, as a just general experience, it was really, really fun.
That's cool. I'm glad it went well. Was your set like, did you have any moments in there where you're like, okay, I'm going to wing some of this, or was it pretty written from start to finish?
It was pretty well tacked down. I will say the panel was a kind of actually fun because it was pretty much, it was me, habitual line crosser, mandatory fun day, and this guy named Viva La Vargas, who, or his name's Johnny, but he goes by Viva La Vargas online. And very funny guy. But it was just us four up there answering questions from the audience kind of as people were showing up. And that was actually a really good opportunity to kind of freeball some comedy, actually. Because I didn't want to just, people are asking questions at a comedy show. I'm going to ham it up, and I'm going to be kind of, sarcastic and make some jokes. Why not, right? It's a good warm-up. So I did get a couple laughs there, and some good sincere moments answering questions. So, but yeah, most everything I did during my set was on, was kind of planned out, written. And I was trying to, because I think at a certain point I caught myself, I was like, you sound like you are reciting, keep it conversational. And I think as I relaxed off of that and made it feel a little more conversational.
That's got to be part of the battle, is just one, like you said earlier, you were probably flying through your set a little quicker. I've heard when you're on stage, like naturally you kind of speed up. You're running a little faster than you would just off adrenaline or whatever. So maybe keeping it casual, acting like you're not just reading something that you wrote, but you're just kind of, conversationally bringing it along, and then keeping the speed right are probably a couple of the more difficult things.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of variables to it, man. But all in all, I think I'm down to do it again. I think it taught me a lot about how to structure a stand-up set and what to expect from an audience of a certain size, and the energy level that I probably want to bring into the next one. So I think given the opportunity, I would probably give it another shot.
Nice. Well, hopefully next time when they do it, they won't do it on a Thursday, and I'll be there. Because I really wanted to come. I really wanted to see it, but I just couldn't swing a Thursday night.
We'll get you in there, man.
Yeah.
We'll get you in there.
Nah, you didn't get me on stage, but you'll get me in there viewing.
I think you would do fine, man.
Oh my God. I would be.
I think you'd be all right. You don't like public speaking, though.
I don't like people like looking at me. I prefer to blend in and just kind of be in the background, Be in the background.
Well, you're a good hype man in that regard. How are you guys, man? I saw your wife posted, we are in the 30-day run up to you being mom and dad. How are we feeling?
We're feeling good. I think she's officially in her like really uncomfortable, let's get to it phase, which we're kind of grateful for, because up until 3 weeks ago, maybe, this whole thing's really been a breeze. Like, it hasn't been that hard at all. Not nearly as hard as I thought it was going to be, but now the belly's big, she's uncomfortable. It's just crazy that we're in the it could happen any day phase. Like, we have our due date, which is June 11th. It's 30 days from now. But it could happen any day. Like, we're in the danger zone, man. We're in the danger zone. And we're doing, so her room's finished. Not that we're going to, use it right off the bat. They sleep in the bassinet or whatever in your room for a while. But we got that out of the way. I don't know if I told you on or off air, but I had this 30-day house cleaning to-do list. And it was broken down into remove, clean, and organize. And, so I've been doing no 0 days every single day of the week, doing a little bit, even if it's just do a little piece, like just grinding towards getting the house ready. So I've been making great strides on that. And then today we put the car seat in the car. So,
man, that's a big. I didn't do that until it was the time to go home, and I had never put a car seat in a car. good on you.
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
the move. It's an event.
It really is. It took me a while. My mother-in-law came over for a little bit, and we were all trying to, I'm in the back seat trying to figure it out, and they're kind of watching me. I have an audience trying to figure this out, and
Hate that.
it's tough, man. I'm glad I did it now. And once you get the base in, the actual car seat just kind of snaps in and snaps out.
Clicks
it's really
in, yeah.
easy.
You have a not a Chico, Graco. Did you get a Graco? Is that what y'all got?
That sounds familiar.
I think that's the kind of the common brand for car seats.
Yeah.
But yeah, you install the base, you strap it in there real tight.
Yeah.
It should be a one and done type
Yep.
thing, and then the car seat proper just kind of clips in.
It's
out,
a
right?
button, it goes in and out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we got that done.
Yeah, that's nifty.
We're packing our bag, like our whatever to go bags, like the grab and goes for if we got to run out the door or whatever. Man, we are like we're just in the any day.
My
now.
wife. My wife, for every kid, I think once we got to about 30 days out, she said, "You're not allowed to drink anymore." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Because if we have to go to the hospital smack in the middle of the night, you got to be ready to react."
Wow.
So I was always stone cold sober for the 30 days leading up to my kids being born.
That's not a bad idea. I don't drink a whole lot anyways. I'm actually having my first drink now. I think accidentally in like 3 or 4 weeks, just by accident.
Betty.
But yeah, I got one. So that's actually not a bad rule because you never know. You don't want to be caught slipping. Don't want to be caught slipping.
Yeah, I think 1 or 2 is probably safe, but you never want to be like, like doing the Toy Story blink, and it's like, my water just broke.
Yeah. No, we're excited. We're ready for it. I think
Excellent.
we're just ready for it to be here at this point. I got a funny. It's real quick. Funny story though. So
Full send.
my wife was perusing our neighborhood Facebook group, and she found this table that this guy was giving away. It was a $1,300 table that came. It's a marble table that came with a crack down the middle, and the manufacturer just replaced it, but they didn't take the old one. So he's like, I have my good one. They didn't take the old one. I'm just trying to get rid of this. And so she messaged him and was like, we'll take it. For my wife's sister who's moving into a new place soon. And so, long story short, we go to pick it up in my car. It doesn't fit in my car. We need a truck. So then I call my buddy, and he comes and he helps me go pick it up. So we pick it up. We drag it in my dude. This thing is heavy.
I gotta say, marble tabletop.
Dude.
It's
Oh my! I could not move it by myself if I wanted to. Partly due to the weight, partly due to the size. It's like 3.5 feet by 3.5 feet, which
it's just like a dinner table.
it's a coffee table.
Oh my god!
It's a coffee table, and 3.5 by 3.5 doesn't sound that big. It's a big table, and so I didn't properly measure it out. When she messaged that guy, she's like, "How big is 42 inches?" And I was like, I kind of did the hands, and I was like,
just the incremental.
I was like, it's about that big. I was like, it's not that big. So long story short, it ends up being way bigger and way heavier. And so we put it in our living room. I can't even like navigate it through my house. It won't go down hallways, through doors. Barely got it through my front door. And so now it's sitting in my living room. My wife's sister says, that's too big. I don't think we want that. It's gold. It doesn't match anything in my house. It's massive. And so for the past, I don't know how long, a week and a half, 2 weeks, it's been sitting in our living room, and we can't get rid of it now. It's like, we were trying to do something nice for someone. They decided they didn't want it, which no big deal. They didn't have to take it. But then now it's a running joke in my house. I have this massively oversized, overweight table in my living room that doesn't match anything, and we can't get rid of it now.
I'd be charging my sister-in-law rent. I'm just saying. Sorry, Amber.
And
Table rent.
Oh, my wife hates it, dude. Like every day, she's like, I walk in the living room and it just pisses me off.
Yeah, because she's nesting, and now there's this giant Grecian table in her living room.
Dude,
get that thing the fuck out of here.
It looks so out of place. It looks hilarious. Maybe I'll snap a picture and post it right now if you're watching the video. It's funny, man. It's funny, but it's not. At the same time, because it's just like one more thing we gotta fucking take. And not only that, we have this like white cream rug in our living room, and something on the bottom of the table, like I scooted it on the rug, and now there's this black streak.
Smear.
Yes, like that long that I can't get off the rug now. Like it ruined the rug.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I love that rug. It's so cozy.
Yeah, and all
I
this.
know the rug you're talking about.
Yeah. All this because trying to be nice, trying to.
Big dumb table.
It's so funny.
God, don't do favors for people.
Don't do favors ever. Only bad things happen.
Don't do favors ever.
Everybody sucks. Anus.
It's time for my favorite segment of most weeks since we started doing it. It's called What Are You Crushing? What Are You Crushing?
Heck yeah.
Cody, what hath thou been crushing?
I got one thing this week, and we've actually been crushing it for a while. It's been on my list, but it's been a little overshadowed. But it's now coming to the forefront, and it's something that me and my wife both enjoy very much. New episodes every Sunday night, and it's a little show called Bar Rescue.
Bar Rescue.
Have you ever watched Bar Rescue?
I know the guy from Bar Rescue. Is it a very like muscle-bound British guy, bald with glasses, maybe? Or maybe it's an Italian guy.
It's like a big Italian guy with a stare that's like.
Yes. Okay.
And
all right. I think I know the guy.
Finger starts to wagging, dude. And have you watched Bar Rescue?
I've never seen Bar Rescue now.
So the premise of it is there'll be a bar that's failing. It's, they're $1 million in debt, losing $20,000 a month. And he'll come in and there'll be cameras and he's kind of watching people, and he'll go in there and he will rip them. And when I mean rip, he's yelling, he's wagging fingers, he's slamming shit on the fucking ground, he's yelling, he's making a whole scene. I mean, it gets tense sometimes, man. We'll be watching. My wife and I's eyes are darting at each other back and forth. Like, it gets real tense. And then he'll leave, come back the next day, and he tries to rehab this bar. And you get some real characters in there, like the owners that you see some wheels off stuff. And there's some really tense moments. And the gist is they turn it around. They turn into better people. He completely renovates the inside of the bar, sometimes renames it, gives them all new equipment, and he brings like bartending experts, kitchen experts in, trains them up, and then, whatever, sends them on their way. So he's just rescuing these bars, and it's awesome, man. It's really good TV if you're into that at all.
I would be into that. So I haven't watched that, but one of my favorite shows from way back in the day is Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay, where he goes to the restaurant. He does exactly what you just said, except it's Gordon Ramsay and it's restaurants.
Yes.
I love the idea. I'm a bad citizen. I love the ones where his advice doesn't take.
Where like the follow-up is it didn't stick or whatever. Yeah.
My favorite ones are the manager is just a weasel or just straight up cannot take a criticism.
Yeah.
And especially like, that sounds really bad, but when the check back in, like when they like, I don't know if Bar Rescue does this.
Yeah, it's the follow-up, like the 6-week follow-up or whatever.
Yeah, Kitchen Nightmares would be like, like on episode 1, this episode, this bar, whatever. Let's check back and see how they're doing. Like, there's a couple of Kitchen Nightmares episodes where it's like, nope, it's still bad. And those are kind of my favorite ones.
No, I agree. Yeah,
so,
all for nothing. Yeah. All for some of them will like change their name. He'll give them a new name and a different menu that's a little more simple. And the 6 weeks later, it's like they changed back to their original name. They went back to their original menu, and sales are slightly up. And it's like, okay, well, that was a giant failure.
Back on their bullshit,
man, but
pretty much.
Taffer, he's the star of that show, man. The concept is cool. He makes that show, man. His facial expressions, his intensity, his finger wags, like. He makes that show, man. It is so entertaining because of him. So, Bar Rescue.
I love that format, and I think I actually do need to hop on that show, man. I would love to check that out.
New season going on right now. They come on every Sunday. Sunday, there's like a marathon every Sunday, and then Sunday night at 9 they'll do a new episode.
Very good.
Yeah. What have
Yeah, check that
what have you been crushing?
So we talked a little bit about it last week. We're still, again, we're in the throes of the move. We closed out, I say we, my wife and I did close out my second watch and her first watch of the Fallout series.
Awesome.
I will say there are things, I don't know if you have time in your life to run it back for a second watch through. I know you typically like to hop from thing to thing. There are things that I didn't catch in my first watch through of Fallout that I caught that actually really just made me enjoy it a ton more.
Enhanced your experience.
They really did. So one of the things, and for anyone listening, if you haven't watched Fallout, I'm gonna recommend that you maybe do like a couple presses as the 15-second skip, because I'm gonna talk something that's potentially a spoiler.
Sure.
And I don't know if you noticed this, Cody. So the overseer of Vault 32, the black woman with the afro, is Betty, right? Hank McClane is the guy who gets taken captive in the first episode. Betty, they have an election. Betty wins. Betty's the overseer. There's a lot of kind of like conjecture about like who is she?
Right.
She's from Vault 31. It's kind of weird. It's kind of shisty, right? And we know Hank McClane knew Cooper Howard. He knew the Ghoul back in the day when it was, supposed to be modern times before the dropping of the bombs. The assistant that sees Cooper Howard into the room while he waits for his wife and eventually introduces him to Hank, the black woman, is Betty.
Oh.
Her name is Betty. That's Betty. I didn't even realize.
The moment where he finds out that, like, right after he found out his wife is responsible.
Where his wife suggests we drop the bomb. The assistant who is kind of just making mindless chatter with him and says, "Oh yeah, Henry from downstairs really wants to meet you. I'm gonna go get him or whatever." While he's sitting in there and his wife, drops the plot bomb or whatever. The assistant that leads Hank in there is Betty. That's Betty.
Oh my gosh, I definitely didn't notice that. So she's been around. I guess the whole time. Yeah, she was a part of Vault Tech. She's been around.
Just like Hank and just like the Moldaver lady.
Wow.
So that was kind of neat. I definitely didn't catch that the first time around. I didn't see that in any kind of crazy article or anything. It may be out there and I just didn't hear about it or see it. But that was my kind of second viewing big discovery that I found. My wife really enjoyed it,
Awesome.
She really goes in for like the post-apocalyptic stuff. So it was no less entertaining the second time around. We really enjoyed it. I meant to ask, did you watch Fallout with your wife?
Yes.
What was her? Did we talk about how it hit her?
She liked it. I don't think it was like it's not traditionally up her alley, but she liked the story. I feel like the main character, what's her name? Lucy in the show, but
Lucy.
Whatever that actor is, like she was in Yellow Jackets. We've seen her before. I feel like she's, I don't know, this kind of weird, like an accessible character. Like she's such a normal person and girl that I feel like if you're a normal person watching, you can kind of experience it through her, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
She enjoyed it. She really liked it. Maybe there was a few like really graphic parts in that show, and that's typically not her thing. But overall, she enjoyed it.
Maybe one involving the power armor grabbing the dude by the head.
Yep, that would be one.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Pretty brutal.
So that part with Betty, did you just notice that on your own in that moment, or?
We were watching that scene last night because it's the last episode, and she says something to Coop, and he responds, "Thanks, Betty," and that's when I was like, Betty.
Oh.
Betty. That's Betty. That's fucking Betty.
Wow.
So, yeah, it kind of slowly washed over me. But he's like vocalizes it. He's like, "Thanks, Betty." So
that's cool. I'm still in Fallout mode, man. I was playing Fallout 4 last night. That game is hard, man. Everywhere you go in the world, there's things that want to kill you. Like I can't even get
there are
to this waypoint that's not that far away without running into 3 settlements and 50 monsters that want to kill me. It's impossible to traverse.
I'm telling you, man. I actually we can kind of use this to tee up our Fallout follow up. I have Fallout downloading right now.
Nice.
I finally got to a point where I feel like I can take my Xbox out. I got it. I'm gonna plug it into the big TV in the living room there, and I am gonna crush some Fallout tonight. It is so Bethesda games are all kind of like that, where when you're in the open world, especially if you've got it on the normal difficulty, like it is a resource management in action type of game where you're constantly like trying to balance, especially with Fallout, because you got ammunition, right?
Right.
We talked about this a little bit with Starfield, how there's not pistol, rifle, and shotgun ammo.
Right.
There's 8 or 9 different types of ammo
For each
for
type
8 or
of gun.
9 different types of weapon.
Yeah.
Laser, 10 millimeter, 38 round. So you are constantly trying to have to balance, like, which weapons should I keep on me? Well, weapons consume weight.
Right.
Armor, you know what I mean? They used to have weapon damage. In Fallout 3, they had weapon damage. So if you used a weapon too much, it would break.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is even more just like a,
Another curveball in there. Like, you find something you like and it's really powerful, and that almost discourages you from using it unless you really need to.
And I really hate, we talked about like currency in games, and I hate games that almost kind of force me to kind of be miserly with my money. Like, it's one thing about Red Dead that I really have always liked, or Red Dead 2 specifically, is that the game openly, once you get money, it creates a good cash flow for you to be kind of frivolous with your money.
Sure.
To where you can start to buy new outfits and upgrade your guns
Right.
and get some like gold plating on your revolvers and stuff like that. It's one of the best examples of like cash flow to expenditure in a game where it feels encouraged. But a lot of these games, like, seemingly, they're like Starfield was one. I got to a straight up gate in the game where it was like, you need to pay me 10,000 credits.
Yeah.
Or you have to make because I was trying to do a like morally good playthrough,
Right.
and the choice was pay me basically all the money you have, or you have to do a malicious thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah. Right.
This is fucking dumb.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So is it supposed to be? Is the idea that when you're out in the open world, everything's trying to kill you? Like, is that kind of the whole? It's supposed to be like that. Okay. Because like last night, I'm in whatever city Diamond City is in, like whatever that area is, and I'm trying
kind
to
of the northeast or northwest quadrant of the map.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to get to like this other, like the other side of that little city. And I ran across two, like there was the medical district or something. I don't know. And I went in there and immediately got blasted by everybody. And I'm like, I just walked in. Like, there were no barriers. There was no indication that was an enemy area. It looked all good. And it said medical. Usually that's a good thing. And I got killed. I'm like, what?
Yeah. No, it's very like Fallout 4, I will say, especially, like, doesn't really pull punches as far as like you can absolutely run into a bad guy that, especially the ones that have the little skull emblem by their head, and you're like, I'm outclassed here and I'm level 4.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's not great. I remember, like, I think it was Witcher that would kind of like warn you if you were fighting an enemy that was like, you should run.
Right.
But yeah, Fallout is not very like helpful in that regard.
No, it's
but
not.
if you can grind, or if you just crank it down to easy mode, which I know is kind of a bitch move, but if you're just trying to get that story and get the RPG experience, you crank it down to easy and just kind of coast through it.
I thought about that. I want my difficulty, like I like my spice in my food. I need some of it to make it worth it and fun. But
not
too much of it is
painful.
Too much of it, I'm just not gonna do it at all. So there's this balance that I'm trying to find. So I'll stick with it. It's good.
I like that.
I guess I can kind of transition us into our meat, if you will, the T-bone steak of our episode.
The tomahawk.
Yeah, so I wanted to do, following the show, I was really in Fallout mode, and I actually saw a comment on Reddit somewhere that was saying that they kind of went down a vault lore rabbit hole. And I didn't really even know what that meant, but it sounded interesting. And a bunch of people commented on his comment saying, like, man, you have no idea. It goes so deep. And I just kind of got interested in it. So I just went to YouTube, typed in vault lore, and there's a bunch of videos out there. It's a thing, apparently.
Sure. Yeah.
And so this particular video that I watched, it was like 45 minutes long. I didn't watch all of them, but it went, and I don't even know if it was all of the vaults, but it told you the story behind, like I said, I don't know if it was all of them, but a number of vaults. It gave you the story. And there were two that really, really stood out to me. Some of the stories were like, we don't know a lot about this vault, except this, and then move on to the next one. But these two had a significant chunk of time where it was a more kind of fleshed out, in-depth story. And so I picked two that I wanted to share. And I'll be curious if you've heard of these, if you're familiar at all, but they're kind of crazy stories. I don't know. I enjoyed doing this.
I'm excited.
And I will just say, I prepared this for 2 episodes ago. I had it pretty memorized. And since then, kind of lost the memory part. So I got bullet points here, so just hang with me here. It's going to be good.
It's all good. We're hanging.
So the first vault that we're going to talk about is Vault 11 in the Mojave Desert. Does Vault 11 ring a bell for you at all?
I'm gonna guess that is a Fallout New Vegas.
I believe
vault,
it is.
If it's in the Mojave Desert. So that is actually a Fallout I have not played.
Okay.
I actually high key want to, because it is regarded as one of the better Fallout games. It does. So it came out 2009 or 10.
Yeah.
10. So it definitely has, a 14-year-old game of any kind at this point is like, you got to suspend the expectations a little bit.
Man, Fallout 4 is kind of rough at this point. You back it up another, 5 years from that, it's going to be...
Yeah.
It was a 360 game. It's 2 generations ago.
Yeah, Fallout 4 is almost 10 years ago. So I know very, very little about New Vegas other than I know that the Robco president, the guy with the mustache, is kind of the main villain. That's about all I know.
Okay. Well, here we go with Vault 11. Follow along. I'm kind of excited to share this story. So Vault 11 had a social experiment where inhabitants were told that they had to sacrifice one vault dweller annually or they would all be killed. All right?
Jeez.
So that's kind of the premise of this. So when the vault doors were sealed and all the inhabitants learned about this, obviously they freaked out. The first overseer knew about this. I guess he was informed ahead of time of the vault door sealing. So the doors seal. Everybody else is informed. They all freak out. And so for the first sacrifice, they actually kill the first overseer because they're like, you knew about this and you didn't say anything, So then the vault door shut. So they kill that guy, right? The overseer.
Damn.
So
that's probably appropriate.
Yeah. I think there's no right decision there. So if we have to start somewhere, then let's start with the fucking guy that got us into all this.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah. So basically from there, the tradition of sacrificing the overseer would continue over time. So everybody's having to pick one guy to kill or they're all going to be killed. And so everybody's like, we're going to kill whoever the overseer is. Well, how are we going to decide who the overseer is? We're going to vote. So they put in this thing where each year the vault would elect who the next overseer was. And so they got to be overseer for a year, and then they were killed, right? So it's the ultimate yay boo, right? Like you're overseer, whatever you say goes. But you know that your time is ticking, and it's totally out of your hands. Whether you get voted on or not. So ultimate yay boo.
I love the term yay boo. I know it's kind of a deviation. You've said that 3 or 4 times, and I always just let it gloss over. Yay boo got to be one of my favorite Codyisms.
Yay boo is great. Yay boo and
interstitial.
Interstitial. That's what I was looking for.
Yay boo interstitials. Yeah. That. So the show, in a way, kind of, because the last episode of the show is fresh in my mind again, they do have that moment where they have all of the industry kind of big heads in that room, and they're going around and they're saying, you can basically, dictate what the rules are for your vault, and it can be anything from, we'll separate the children and the parents. We will have, every year we're going to have to, kill some of the vault dwellers or something. So the vault 11, we have to have a sacrifice, and it's going to be the overseer. Man. That absolutely I'd be interested to see how that affects the player character.
Right.
In that, do you come down and they try to make you the overseer, and then subsequently try to sacrifice you or whatever?
Well, the story keeps going. We're not at the end yet, but from what I gathered, I think this is just kind of a vault that you can stumble upon in New Vegas and kind of piece all of this together. So I don't think I should say, none of this is spoiling New Vegas if you haven't played it. These are just vaults, I think, in that world that you could go read all the letters and hack the terminal and kind of piece all this together. But this isn't necessarily the player's experience for that game. But that is true. When I was listening to all these different stories, each vault kind of had their own, here was the experiment, going on in this vault. So, yeah, I think this is just one you can stumble upon. So, basically, each year they elect somebody, you become the overseer, then you get killed at the end. So this divided the vault into a bunch of different voting parties known as voting blocks, right? So this starts to form groups of people that are getting together and trying to decide who they want to put up next, essentially, who they want to kill next.
Right.
So each year they would create voting guides for who they wanted to see as overseer, essentially who they wanted to see dead. Over time, the vault experienced a power struggle. So obviously, as these different groups are forming, others are trying to kind of overtake the other groups. As the parties gained more power over the years, they became more and more corrupt, which this is kind of where the first fucked part happens in this story. One of the voting blocks sexually coerced a woman named Catherine Stone to save her husband from being voted overseer, right? So there's voting parties, they're gaining power, and now they're kind of using people hey, give me this, or we're going to vote your husband to be overseer, essentially killing him, right?
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked. So that happens.
Jeez.
She gives in to save her husband, and after that happens, they betray her and vote her husband in anyway.
Wow.
Yeah. So
this is a side quest in a game.
It's crazy. So she does this thing, which is terrible, but it's, in the name of saving her husband, they betray her. So after she finds out that she did that and they still voted for her husband, she goes on this rage. She goes on this killing spree and murders a bunch of members of the Justice Block one by one, who was the block that extorted her, right?
Right.
Now, once people discover this murder, this killing spree that she's gone on, she's voted as the next overseer. So essentially, she's going to be killed. As her first act of overseer, she bans the voting, allowing people to vote who the overseer is. And she suggests that it could just be randomly chosen by a computer instead. So instead of everybody choosing who gets to vote, let's just put it in this random computer, and at that point, there's no more parties, no more power. It'll just be totally random, and it just kind of falls the way that it falls. The remaining members of the... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, so is the... they have to sacrifice someone. Is it such that, if they don't kill someone, the vault kills them?
Pretty much.
The vault isn't... Okay,
yeah.
all right.
The AI computer that's in there, told them, look, here's what's going on. You got to sacrifice, or we're gonna kill you. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like some kind of arbitrary like religious thing that kept them doing this, or
No, it was
if they just
So when they went in the vault, basically the computer, because each vault has like their AI computer system or whatever. So the AI system told them,
right.
So it's like whatever the overlords telling them to do this, the vault people telling them to do this.
Gotcha.
Let's see.
Okay.
So So after she votes away to do with the voting, we're just gonna do it with the computer. The remaining members of the Justice Bloc, fearful of losing their power, staged an armed coup to take the power back from her and enforce the voting again. This turned into a massacre and left only 5 vault dwellers alive afterwards. So
Damn.
they get worried that they're going to lose their power. A big massacre happens, and now there's only 5 people left in the vault. Now,
Shit.
the remaining 5 were tired of the violence and mutually decided to end the killing. No more. We've done enough. This ends here.
Good on them.
They confronted
I've got a feeling this doesn't go well.
They confronted the computer, telling it they refused to sacrifice anybody else. They were met with an automated message congratulating them for breaking the cycle and not murdering anybody else, revealing that the whole experiment was a ruse.
Damn.
The whole thing was a ruse. Now, the computer then unlocked the main entrance, allowing the dwellers to leave on their own free will. Shocked and horrified with what they had done, 4 of the 5 dwellers voted to end their own lives to make up for what they had done for the last 15 years. Once again, they were not unanimous, and one of them wanted to spread the news across the wasteland so others could learn from their mistake. Last line here. 4 people ended up taking their own lives, and the final vault dweller presumably left the vault never to be seen again.
Damn.
There's somebody out there that went through all that in Vault 11 and is
Vault 11.
essentially still alive somewhere.
That alone, high key, makes me want to play the game now.
Dude, how crazy is that story?
I want to get up from my seat right now and go download it. I'm not going to do that, but absolutely, that is kind of riveting only because it comes from a game and it's a side quest. It's just like not the main focus, I'm guessing.
I feel like that premise could have been made outside the Fallout world into like an entire
could be a
movie
whole
or
movie.
show. Yeah, dude. Like
A whole movie.
the twist and the intertwining of different things. Like, it's crazy, man. When they were explaining it on the video, I was like, no fucking way, man. I thought that was so crazy.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I got one more real
right.
quick, and it's shorter. Oh, were you all writing into something else?
No, I said, all right, let me hear some more Vault lore.
All right, we got Vault 51 in the forests of Appalachia.
Okay. Is this a Fallout 76 Vault?
I don't totally know. It didn't. It may have specified in that video, but I did not make that note. Here, I got Google open right now. Let's see. Vault 51. Which game? Yep, that's Fallout 76. Good call. Okay, so Vault 51. How'd you know that? You knew the first one also and this one.
There is so New Vegas, the Mojave Desert is by Las Vegas. That was how I figured that one out. Fallout 76 has either a DLC or a game area that is Appalachia.
Okay.
So kind of the upper Midwest mountainous region.
Okay. I gotcha.
Yeah.
So this one's pretty cool too. It's shorter than the other one, but I thought it was almost just as enjoyable. So in Vault 51, they conducted an experiment in which a ZAX 1.3C supercomputer, which I assume is the AI, would test the residents in order to determine which was best fit for the role of overseer. So in Vault 51, you have this supercomputer AI thing that's going to test everybody, and it's going to decide who's going to be the overseer. So it's this crazy smart computer, whatever.
Okay.
The computer was primarily taught by a man named Sergeant Robert Baker, who would advise the computer on what made the best leader. So maybe the guy that created it, he's teaching this computer, and he's trying to teach him human things, like here's what makes a good leader. Here's what you should look out for when selecting the overseer.
Okay.
On 2 separate occasions, Baker tried to hold an election to determine who would be the overseer, but once nobody could decide, the computer deemed elections pointless and would forgo this method. Baker then communicated with the computer, telling it a leader is somebody who stepped up in a times of crisis. The AI would misinterpret this message and began to produce a series of crises in order to see who was most fit to lead. So it's kind of like, oh, you didn't watch 3-Body Problem, did you?
I did not watch 3-Body Problem.
There's an instance, and it's not a spoiler, but it's where like a human is trying to explain a human thing to something that's not human, and they take it too literal. They don't understand kind of the nuance of like what they're trying to say. So this, he's just saying it's somebody who steps up in a time of crisis, and the computer takes it literal, and it's like, okay, well, let's cause a bunch of crisis to see who steps up. So the crisis included, but were not limited to, changing the rules of a talent show halfway so that the losers would be forced to move out of their bedrooms and into bunk rooms.
Oh, damn.
Making dwellers compete in rigged casino games, engineering a food shortage, convincing dwellers that houseflies had infested the vault, blaring the vault alarms while the residents were sleeping, switching their coffee to decaf, and manipulating
that one's terrible.
Right. And manipulating the dwellers into cheating on their significant others. So it's just wreaking havoc. It's swapping the coffee out. It's making people cheat. Like, it's causing all type of chaos up in here.
Yeah.
Trying to see who steps up. This eventually led the remaining inhabitants to turn against each other, leading to a ton of deaths.
Damn.
One day after the body of a resident named Helen was found, this led the residents to beginning a frenzy, causing the dwellers to massacre each other, only leaving one survivor, a man named Reuben Gill. After he was the only vault dweller left, he was named overseer and would stay isolated isolated with the AI for years. This would change when Reuben found out about the opening of Vault 76. He was seeking a way to escape. He hacked into the vault's inventory system and placed himself inside a shipping crate, and then created an order allowing him to leave undetected when the crate was removed from his vault. So he escapes from the vault. His plan was to find someone from Vault 76 to help him defeat the AI, and he was actually successful in making contact with one of the dwellers, but ultimately died before he could return to Vault 51. Currently, the vault is abandoned. So a super AI created a bunch of crises, caused a massacre, and now the vault is abandoned.
Yeah, that's pretty on brand.
Which felt like something that we're headed to. I don't know. Like a super AI creating a bunch of stuff.
Holy hell. The idea of an AI causing people to cheat absolutely seems like in the realm of possibility. Right. The whole coffee thing too, you think about it, if we AI automate, if 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, we live in a world where we just have to tell our kitchen AI,
right? Hey,
7 a.m. cup of Joe.
Yeah.
And it just as kind of like a little fuck you is like, all right, decaf.
Dude,
or,
seriously.
Or rat poison also, maybe. I don't know. I don't know, man. That stuff feels within the realm of possibility.
I know.
I'm just saying.
No, I agree. I thought that's why that was so. I don't know, man. I guess that felt like not something that will happen, but as AI becomes more and more powerful and we put more and more trust and responsibility upon AI, and nobody's kind of double checking AI itself, could be doing all these things. Oh, excuse me, Jesus. Causing all these problems, and we could be one of those things where we like turn on each other and we don't even see that the source of the issue is not within us, but it's like an outside force causing this stuff.
Right. Like add to that, like that doesn't even account for stuff like deep fakes.
Right.
And like fake videos of people who aren't saying the thing, who aren't, absolutely. Yeah. Like it's creepy.
It really is. That was my 2 vault lores. As I read through those, 51 is pretty cool. 11 really stuck with me though, man. Vault 11. That's just one of
That's like a saga.
I know, man. It was so cool. I remember like where I was and what I was doing as I was listening to that part. And I just remember thinking like, man, the depth of that little story, like you said, on a little tiny side quest, discoverable area in this game is pretty crazy.
I would hope, because it really does make me want to jump in and play New Vegas. I would hope that the manifestation of that in the game isn't going and finding a bunch of like tablets to read. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I God bless whoever did all the reading for that. If so, I would hope there is a little more of kind of like a living version of that you can experience, rather than just like, oh yeah, I'm just reading from a computer
Notes
about what happened here.
Hacking terminals and just kind of.
Exactly.
I don't know either way. Like I was saying earlier, I think this is just a discoverable place. It's not your experience as the player, and it might. I think it's just something that you kind of piece together. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's cool.
Still cool.
Yeah,
still cool. Yeah. Break time.
All right.
Going good.
Dude,
good epi.
I think so. Dude, I came up with this idea today. It was an idea for an episode, and I haven't got all the details hammered out, but have you seen those videos of where people will put things on a tier list? Like you have S tier, A tier, B tier, whatever, and it's a certain topic. And my first thought, I was in the gym today, and I'm like, man, Gideon is like an S tier fucking gym band. Like they are just made for the gym. And then I started thinking of all these bands of like, how good are they for the gym? So maybe one day for our meet, I can flesh this out a little bit more, but we would rank like gym bands I think we could do F tier.
We could do that with a lot of stuff. We would just have to like get together some candidates, I guess, for a list.
Yeah. I think that'd be cool, man.
We could do that. Yeah,
I feel like that.
I think that would do well.
All those videos, I always click on them and watch them, and I feel like if you market them correctly, like with the thumbnail, that'd be a great clip. You could cut that out of the episode, and I think if it's with a cool topic and a great like thumbnail and title, I think that could get some views, and it would be fun. It's something that we know, and I think we do that with a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should definitely look into
I'm
that.
down for that.
All right.
Defo.
Did you want to do write-ins, or how you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. We got
a bunch, man. I mean, we're way behind. We had back to April that we hadn't done any. Not that we necessarily have to do like all of them, but if you go back to 417, Cool Boy 3010, how long does it take to make an episode? That's where we left off last week.
See, 417.
Yeah, you got to go up for a little bit.
Okay, I think we can do like 3.
Okay, that's cool.
I'll drive.
Yep.
I can drive this week.
Cool.
All right, it's time to do some write-ins. If you look below, there's a Discord link. If you go to our Discord, there's a channel in the Discord called Questions for Podcast. You can write us a question. give us a statement. I actually don't think they're going to hear that because we're not recording the Discord this week.
Dang it.
Cody did the high porn, and then no one's going to hear it. We'll insert it later for dramatic effect. But yeah, absolutely. Leave us a question. Start a conversation. You might get
red, motherfucker.
red. Cool boy 3010, our old buddy. How long does it take to make one episode? Takes about start to finish probably 2 hours.
I would say so. Usually from the time we log on, chit chat a little bit about, I don't know, catch up, talk about the episode, and then afterwards kind of doing some of the post uploading and everything, probably about 2 hours. Editing, thumbnail, upload, all that stuff can be anywhere from like an hour to 2 hours. We have some things in the works that I think are going to speed that up and increase the quality. So hopefully that time goes down a little bit, but probably a total of 2 hours start to finish.
Yeah. So that, yeah. And then you tack on like the edit, depending on, what kind of format for an episode like we're doing right now. I don't know, Cody, you typically handle the more robust edits, like hour, 2 hours probably.
Yep. Somewhere in there.
Plus the thumbnail, plus the upload time, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I try to spend a lot of time like on the thumbnail and the title. I've read that's just as important as like the content itself. So I do my best to like, I think they've been getting better. I do my best not to put like the thumbnail and the title on the back burner and just kind of forget it and then throw something together. I try to put some good time into that. So I think they've turned out pretty good.
Shouts out Cody, man. He's doing the hard stuff. Thanks, cool boy. Gene asks, how long have we known each other and what inspired us to get in this line of work or entertainment? So for anyone who doesn't know, I feel like we talked about this maybe in the first couple episodes and didn't really touch on it again. Cody and I are cousins.
Yep.
And I say that I'm closer to Cody than I am to most of my sisters. I only have sisters, but we are pretty much like functionally brothers. Yep. I've known Cody. Cody's born 6 years after me, so I've known him his whole life. Forever,
man. If I remember, there's that picture that I love of us when we were little. We're out at our grandparents' property in Colorado, and it's when I'm like up to your waist. I mean, I got to be 4, 5.
The differential was a lot bigger back then, but
and now
we're just a couple
10, 11, 12. You're probably your oldest son's age, maybe a little bit older at that point.
Yeah, man.
And
that's
man,
wild.
we've playing games. I remember Rescue Heroes when we were little, like all kinds of stuff. We go way back, as far back as you can go.
That's right. Friends for life.
For life.
Thank you, Gene. Great question.
Thanks, Gene.
Grillmaster XX Grillmaster XX. What's your favorite grill, and are you a fan of smoked foods? Absolutely, yes, I am. I have a little Kingsford barrel. It doesn't even have a little sidecar on it for the offset or anything, but I take that. I take 2 of my little grill racks. I scoot them over to one side, put all my hot coals on the other side, and I've made some yummy ribs, some good pork butts, some brisket on that thing. Love that thing, man. It works a wonder. I would love to get a pellet grill someday, but I can do so much with my little stick burner that I think I'm pretty well satisfied with it.
How do you feel about like a green egg? Like, you have any thoughts on that?
I would be interested to try one. I've never cooked on one. I feel like because of the shape, there's probably a pretty big like heat management and time differential that you have to account for. But I mean, they're supposed to be really nice grills, really good for smoking. I would absolutely give one a shot. I know my grill so well, and I've cooked so many things on it that it's just like I kind of know how it's going to behave.
Might be one of those things where even if you get something newer, nicer, you're like, I just want my old grill back.
Yeah. That's kind of, I'm so, it's kind of one of those things like you ever find yourself in a situation where it's like, I should upgrade, But if I upgrade, there's a learning curve associated with that. And this thing that is very clearly cheaper serves me so well. It's kind of one of those situations.
Yeah.
So.
I haven't become grill guy yet. I think I've said, I'll be a dad very shortly, so that might be in my future before too long, but I've never owned one. Pretty sure I've never operated one. Dang sure never cooked on one. So I haven't got to that point in my life yet. So I don't know.
For sure.
Don't have a favorite grill yet.
Great question. Thank you, Grill
Good
Master.
question.
We'll do one more here. B.
Like
That's his go by.
The letter B?
I thought it was just the letter
Like
B.
a buzz B.
I think maybe that can't be right. Hang on. Okay, yeah. No, I see. Disable. Okay, Brad rules. That's what I had Discord was in streamer mode, and so the usernames were truncated. Brad rules 71. Hey, good to see you, buddy. Or Brad rules 1. Sorry.
Man.
If you could have viewers, listeners on the podcast, who would you choose and why? That's a difficult question to answer because all of you guys are great. If you're listening to the show, you're my favorite. I will answer that by saying I've always thought it would be cool to have a call-in option.
Yes.
I think call-in, if we would need a producer because I feel like people would be tempted to call in and just be like terrible on the mic. But yeah, if there was a way for you guys to actually actively call in and hopefully not be a troll, that would be a pretty radical option. And I'd start with you, Brad Rules. It's your idea. So
the question was, which listeners would we have on the show?
If you could have viewers, listeners on the podcast, who would you choose? Cool Boy 3010 writes in more than anyone else. I gotta say, Cool Boy 3010 is a frequent listener, frequent caller. Like he absolutely, I think, has earned a place in the Fallout guest for a day if you're a fan. Absolutely.
Sure.
Cool Boy 3010 is doing the most out here. So I feel like I would probably have to kick it to him. But yeah, all you guys are great. Anyone who's written in or contributed to the show in any way, that's huge for us.
For sure. I got to shout out Jean too. She's been really consistent with commenting on videos, writing in, even got a couple messages from her. So Jean's been really good too.
Shout out Jean. Thank you for your contribution. That's probably going to do it for us this week's guys. This week's guys. That's probably going to do it for us this week, guys. Thank you. Yeah, and gals. That's true. Shout out Gene. Thank you guys for writing in, for listening to the show. We really do appreciate it. If you are watching the show, we ask that you please do subscribe.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button. Hit the bell. Do the little ding-a-ling-a-ling. Leave a comment if you heard something crazy. Let's talk about it. If you're listening only, leave us a review. A little star rating helps the show out, pushes us to the front of the deck. Really good for the show.
Make our dreams come true.
Make our dreams come true. We are almost to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. That feels very huge for us. We're very grateful.
Yes.
Attitude of gratitude about that. That's very awesome. I feel like once we cross that threshold, holy shit,
it's
I can't
time
talk
to
tonight.
end.
Wrap it up, B. Once we cross that threshold, that's going to be a big milestone for the show.
Yeah.
So we're definitely looking to take this thing into the stratosphere and do another 27.
I'm not going to sleep until we hit 1,000.
There you have it, folks. Cody's not sleeping until we hit 1,000.
Get to subbing, please.
Yes, please get to subbing so this man can have some Z's. But hey, no, sincerely, thank you from the bottom of my heart and
from mine.
We really enjoy doing this. Look forward to seeing you guys next week, episode 28. Can't wait.
About to be at the big 3-0, man. I feel like we just did the 2-0 on your channel live. And I can't
That
believe
was
we're
7 weeks ago.
at 10 episodes later. That is
bonkers.
Maybe we'll do a little off-air talking right now. Maybe for 30, we could promote a live episode.
We could do a live episode. We're looking at a guest, looking at getting more guests on the show. We've had a couple so far that went really well, but we are absolutely looking to grow that number by a lot.
A ton.
You feel me? A ton.
Okay, back on air.
I
guess.
Back on air.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Cut all that. Or leave it in. I don't care. Hey, thank you for tuning in this week. I want to wish you all little, tiny, itty-bitty Baja blessings upon thy forehead. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next week. Fuck, don't laugh at me.
See ya.
See you.
All right.